Hello and welcome to Arn. As always, Paul Bromwell right back with you all and on the Four Horsemen Network and One True Sport. I'm joined by the Hall of Famer, the founder of the Four Horsemen, creator of that Spine Buster. He's the 1A at Tag Team Wrestling, our television champion, my tag team partner. He's the enforcer. He's AA. He's Arn Anderson. Arn, how are you this week, my friend?
After that, hearing that, I must be pretty good. Pretty good.
You're jacked and ready to go, man. Listen, I'm excited for this episode. We're going to talk all things October 1995, but in typical fashion here on the show. First of all, I want to thank our audience members for being here. And I would say, guys and gals, get your questions in. Use that super chat function. We're going to talk, like I said, all things October 1995, but we're going to make time to make sure we get those super chats at the minimum answered for you this week. So do that, and we'll look forward to that. I want to start on with some big news that came out this past week. The total package, Lex Luger, is officially heading into the WWE Hall of Fame, and man, it's about time. This guy's career speaks volumes. Listen, trained by Hiro Matsuda, a member of the Four Horsemen, longest reigning U.S. champion, two-time world champion, multiple-time tag champion. Arn, I know you spent a lot of time with Lex over the years, the Horseman run, later in WCW. What do you think about him finally getting the call into the Hall?
It's about time. It is. If you look at contributions to the business and you look at the physique that he maintained through his entire career, I mean, the guy, arguably, from a pleasant, muscular, pleasing, muscular look, he has as good a body as anybody in the business, right?
Oh, yeah.
I would probably say. And Lex, he came along at a time when the business was really red hot. He found his niche. He believed his press, and he stayed in there and just forged himself a Hall of Fame career. And I'm very happy for him. Congratulations. It's awesome.
It's really cool, and I love the way they did it. Arn, I don't know if you saw it or not, but they had Cody Rhodes make the announcement at DDP's gym. It was the perfect place. Diamond Dallas Page, you've known him for years. He's working with Lex now and trying to help him to regain his ability to walk. And how cool is that? Not only what DDP is trying to do with Lex, what he's done for others, but then having Cody walk in, WWE obviously captured that moment. Really cool way that they executed that. And kudos to Diamond Dallas Page, what he continues to do and the impact he's making.
If there was ever a prize student, I would think Dallas, if you ask him, this has got to be one of them, one of the top couple.
Yeah.
To take a guy that's been in a wheelchair for years and let him actually get up and walk away. For guys that have been injured, and most of us, not to that degree, maybe Magnum, but to still be making appearances and going to signings, being out there 4 or 5 hours, and that can't be easy, So he's still been contributing to the business and creating a bond with his fans, that people can still go see Lex Luger. It's phenomenal. So congratulations and thank you to Paige from me for what he's done to several different guys, the time he put in with Jake.
Yes.
Scotty Riggs.
Yeah. Scott, before he passed, he worked a lot with him too.
So thank you, Paige. You're dedicated to the business, and I, for one, am very appreciative. Get him up and get him walking. Let's get him running. When we get him running, hell, I'll put him over again. Be my pleasure.
I love it. It's cool. He keeps us updated on social media with the videos. But a big shout out to Lex Luger. Congratulations on behalf of the Arn Show. Can't wait to see you inducted. Arn, we'll move on from that and talk a few other updates. I know you got a few big appearances coming up that we want to talk about. It all starts on the 29th of March in Lutz, Florida. I know you're looking forward to that show at the end of the month. guys, if you have a chance, make sure you check it out. Lutz, Florida, and Arn, talk a little bit about that appearance. It's GrappleCon 2. It's on a Saturday at the Residence Inn in Tampa and Suncoast. They're calling it a reunion of names from World Championship Wrestling. You're going to be there, Nikita, Dirty Dutch Mantel, your buddy, Robert Parker, Bunkhouse Buck, Glacier, and others. I know you're looking forward to seeing some folks down in the Tampa area.
Yeah, I mean, I was a member of the Bunkhouse Boys for a minute.
That's right. Yeah.
So, and those guys are hilarious, man. They really are. And a lot of WCW guys that I haven't seen in a while. Glacier, one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. I think he's going to be there, correct?
Yes, Glacier's on the list.
So I'm really looking forward to that. Lutz, Florida. Now, Dean Malenko, I hear, lives around there somewhere. I'm going to stop by his house, go in and immediately make a thick ham sandwich as he sits there and stares at me with his mouth open like, who are you and why are you in my house?
If you do, can you take pictures? Because I'd love to show them on here. That'd be fun.
I don't know. He may stretch me.
Oh, well, there you go. Yeah, there's a number of people live in the Tampa area down there. I know Mike Chioda's down there, Dean, and others. So have a great time. Safe trip. Hey, the weather, is going to be phenomenal the time of year.
Yep,
so
and there's going to be a panel, so it'll be probably a Q&A, and that'll be fun for the fans. That'll be fun for me. And that's when somebody like Robert Fuller, you will see just what a funny guy he is. He is hilarious.
Oh man, good old Robert Fuller. That'll be fun. Every time I think of him, I just think of all the stuff we watched lately with him and Sherry and all the shenanigans between those two.
Oh yeah.
With Harlem Heat. Let's talk about another appearance. So you move on from there and then you head on down the road, and we're talking about this is actually the weekend after, because you and Brock, and we'll go back, but April 25th and 26th, you're going to go to Indianapolis for Squared Circle Expo. I've got that up on the screen. That's another opportunity for folks to see you. I know you love going to Indianapolis. While this is on the screen, though, let's talk about you going to Vegas for WrestleMania weekend. You and Brock are going to be out in Vegas, are you not?
Oh, yeah. We're going to go out early and make it a Vegas trip. As we know, those are a lot of fun. We'll do a little gambling. But I can only imagine that being almost on the West Coast. They have a worldwide audience that come to Mania anyway. People from New Zealand, Australia, Japan. You'll see people from everywhere. And the closer you are, I think, to the West Coast, even more people you'll get, because you're going to get the people from Europe anyway that are going to travel. And it's just I think there'll probably be 150, 200 talent there. All told, from the availability of anything that you want as a wrestling fan, souvenir-wise, that you want to get signed or a picture taken with or whatever it may be. That's going to be your weekend to do it.
I joke around. That's when the shopping carts come out, and everybody's, you bring all the stuff to that event, man. You're going to see a lot of people, a lot of great talent, a lot of great opportunities to knock out a few autographs, a lot of autographs, actually, maybe that you're hunting for, a lot of great pictures. And that's WrestleCon out in Vegas. And then, as I showed the picture earlier, then you're going to head out to Indianapolis for another great show at the Squared Circle Expo. So a lot of fun stuff for you, Arn. I know I mentioned on the last show, I'm looking forward to the show in Charlotte, the end of July, early August. That's going to be fun for T-Mart Promotions, The Gathering 6. And we'll have other shows that you're going to be doing this year that we can promote. So make sure you get in on it. And hey, these are great opportunities to not only see Arn, see Brock, but some of these opportunities, like you said, you're going to be able to, commingle and see some guys like, Robert Fuller, like Tully Blanchard with Arn, and Barry Windham and J.J. Dillon. And man, these are just great opportunities. Don't take it for granted, and get out there and meet these guys, say hi, get these group pictures while you can, right? Arn, this is the time to do it.
Yep, and I'm sure CW is going to be roaming around. We'll take the opportunity to take some pictures with the last rendition, maybe of the Andersons ever. Who knows? Maybe not, but maybe.
Could you imagine CW, Brock, and Arn, the Andersons all together, and you get to be the fourth member of that picture?
That's a photo op.
That's a photo op right there. So take advantage of it. All right. So there it is. Those are what's going on. How's Brock doing? Talk to us about him. I see a lot of stuff about MLW. He's doing things with AML. How is Brock? I love to ask you any chance and every chance we get here on the show.
Well, you know, I'm going to always brag on him. He's doing a great job. He's, you know, he's coming along. He has a great head for the business. He watches the guys that are really, you know, he knows, and I've advised him, hey, you know, watch what this guy does or doesn't do, and watch the matches and stuff and promos. He's starting to come out of his shell a little bit. He's getting some promo time. I'm appreciative with MLW and AML for using him. And he's got that steady hand, CW, to help guide him, which having a veteran in your corner, it's a big deal. So he's doing great. I'm very proud of him. He's gonna land somewhere.
No doubt about it. I always love to see, again, on social media, some of the things that he's accomplishing. And man, he's a great kid. By the way, we talked about it on last episode. You can tell us all now. Where was that birthday dinner?
Steak 48.
Okay. How was the meal? You recommend it?
About $500.
Whoa, big time for the three of you, just the three of you.
Well worth it. It's to have an experience, a dining experience that you only have once or twice a year. You know, Erin, we may do it on her birthday. Brock decided, that let's have one there. So I mean, we may go there twice a year, but it's expensive. But everything about it is first class. The people, the employees, the food, the ambiance, the presence, everything you could. When you go in and you sit down, you look around and you know you're an elite group of diners. And it's okay to do that every now and then. I mean, I worked 42 years.
You deserve it. And nobody deserves it more than you and your family, pal. I'm so glad.
Yeah, I at least owe them a trip or two a year to Steak 48. It's over in South Park. If you're ever in Charlotte, find South Park Mall and you can find Steak 48. It's right across the street. It's awesome.
So I did text Brock happy birthday on his birthday, and I couldn't help myself. I said, listen, your dad kept the kayfabe on the show, but you got to tell me where was dinner. And he told me. So, of course, I had to go to the website and see where's the closest one to where I live. There's one in Philadelphia, okay? So if I want to take the wife there. But biggest question, important question, what was Arn Anderson's order at Steak 48? What'd you get?
I like the ribeye.
Okay.
You know, I like the ribeye.
How do you get it cooked? Medium rare?
Medium rare, and they bring it to you on the steaming plate, which it cooks a little bit more. If you just go medium, I think they tend to get a little too done too quick. Of course, we had some sides like the au gratin potatoes and spinach, creamed spinach.
Creamed spinach. I'm a fan.
I couldn't tell you what kind of bread it was, but it was about 2 or 3 different kinds of bread in a basket. And
a few loaves of that.
Heavy of the garlic. Good.
The M-Bag said he showed up at Steak 47, so he just missed you. He didn't make it to Steak 48.
He was the one we were hiding from.
Oh, man. You told the maitre d' when you walked in, listen, if anybody comes here by the name Yam, Bag, or Jones, please do not let them in this place.
Not only don't let them in, call the cops. That's an offense that could get you arrested.
Oh, man, so good. Well, listen, I'm so glad you had it. Steak 48. Guys, check it out. If there's one in your area, go there. Don't go to the one in Charlotte. Just kidding. One more thing, and we'll get into wrestling because I know that's what you're all here for. But I love just this time with you, Arn, around the virtual living room. This Saturday, I want to talk about, actually, it's not this Saturday. It's the 22nd, so I'm a little ahead of myself. One of the guys that works very hard behind the scenes of this show, and we've talked about him before here, is training to become, Arn, a professional wrestler. He helps you with social media. He helps with the artwork here. He has been busting his ass to become a wrestler. He's moved at a very quick pace. He's a good friend of mine, and I want to flash it up on the screen and put him over right now. His name, Marcus D'Angelo. Look at him sporting the One True Sport banner on his forehead. That's right. That's Arn giving him an ovation. He, on March 22nd, Saturday, in Elizabeth, Pennsylvania, is going to be wrestling in a three-way. And Arn, your comment when I showed you this is what about the guy on the right? He looks like a hell of a matchup, huh?
He's pretty frightening.
Yeah. So
if I was Marcus, I'd give you a little bit of advice. Try to get rid of Victor Benjamin right off the get-go.
Yeah. See if you can double team that guy.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
He looks like a jacked up, gassed up vampire, I guess.
He is. He's got the fangs. Listen, it's going to be live on iwcwrestling.com and Triller TV Plus. So if you get the package on Triller TV, you can check it out. One of our own, a homegrown talent from Western PA, my buddy, our friend, Arn and I's longtime friend and helper here with all things Arn, Marcus D'Angelo. He is a shit talker. So if you see him online, he's cutting some promos, and I've had some fun watching him. But we're proud of him and want to put that over for sure, and love to see him continue to evolve his wrestling journey. So, guys, check it out. Arn, I know you're excited to hear.
I'm so happy for him. And I told him when he first started, I said, you're going to find that I think that this is harder than you ever dreamed, because that's what about 100%, if they're truthful, will tell you down the road if they stay. And they stay in the business. But I told him then, I said, Marcus, if you get to go and one day in front of a live crowd perform on the clock and on the payroll of any company, it doesn't matter what it is, you have lived a dream that most people will never understand. And that's if you must make it one match. Then it seems to me he's picking it up pretty quick, and he's still in there, and he's getting better all the time. So very proud of you, very happy for you. Are you still having as much fun as I told you you would be? That's the question.
There you go. We love it. Well, good luck to you, Marcus. Listen, before we jump into October 1995, let's go to the chat, because we got a few that are spending some money and have some questions for us, Arn. So we're going to do that. First, this is kind of a unique question. I'm not sure, where this is coming from, but we'll go there. Arn, who would play a better heel, Aaron or Paul Bromwell?
Yeah, I think Aaron may be deep down too nice.
So
Paul is definitely a closet heel.
I was going to say, where you headed? Definitely a closet heel.
I was trying to come up with something better than heel. Closet
asshole. You can
closet asshole.
There you go.
Closet horse's ass.
I like it. Closet horse's ass. Listen, there's some people, because I have some group chats, and sometimes I throw some things out there, and they're like, "Man, we need to start a Twitter account, a heel Paulie B Twitter account." I'm like, no, I like to keep my baby face image going. I'm not feeling that, but there have been some folks that have teased that before.
You think I was the only one that thinks that?
Apparently not. I guess I can be an asshole from time to time, but this show, listen, it's all baby face here on this show. So Trigga, I believe that's your name, Trigga Cheese. I'd be the heel. Aaron is a sweetheart, so no.
Boy, she is all the way babyface.
I mean, she's put up with you for how many years?
Yeah, and that gets her a ticket to heaven straight.
Right. That gets her steak 48 whenever she wants.
Yeah, she can go once a week if she wants.
That's right. All right, CGRT. He's a friend and loyal supporter. Good evening, Paul and Arn. Hope you guys are doing well. After putting this off for a while, I'm finally going to have a myelogram and studies done on my spine and legs. CG, Charlie, best of luck for you, man. And I just wanted to say that you have our support and well wishes and prayers, and we just hope everything goes well for you, bud.
I second that. Good luck to you, buddy.
Next up, Darren Staley, $10 coming in with the super chat. I was in a Lex induction chat. So he was in a chat with some folks that were talking about his induction. Someone in the comments was talking about Arn and said, Arn came out of the womb with his CDLs, meaning the blue-collar badass ready to drive a truck from birth. And I think that he thought that was amusing and wanted to share that with us. Arn, did you come out of the womb a blue-collar badass ready to drive a truck from birth? Was that kind of...
Is that what CDLS is?
I mean, I guess. I mean, this is Darren Staley. I mean...
I don't know. I came out of the womb with a full beard and I'm probably about 29 because apparently I haven't aged that much, but I looked old then.
I mean, listen, here he said yes in all caps. So he said that's exactly what he meant. So there you go.
Okay, there you go.
All right, let's go. And then Ryan Nodal says, hey, Arn, hey, Paul. He was curious if are you going to be at the Hall of Fame that's in Vegas? I know you're out there for a signing. Any plans to attend the Hall of Fame, Arn?
I don't think so. I don't think
right now it's not on the schedule.
Yeah, I'm going out Thursday, and I'm pretty sure we'll be available for at least a little bit Thursday, but for sure Friday and Saturday.
Okay. Yeah, I know your agenda. When you go out for signings and it's a two or 3 day deal, you're pretty busy, and then it's like you can't wait to get home.
Brother, you get started at 9 or usually 9:30 local time, and it's if you try to get a workout in, and I about have to with my back, because I can't stand those chairs all day long, 4 or 5 hours. So your day starts probably about 5 a.m. and it ends about 5 p.m. That's a pretty full day for an old bastard.
Hell yeah. So he was talking about your commercial driver's license. So just driving a truck, badass type thing. So that's the CDL comment.
Okay. Don't have one of those, but if I decided I wanted to drive a big truck, nobody would
tell me. You looked like you were the type that came out of the womb with your CDL. So there you go. Hey, we got another super chat real quick before we jump in. Reggie the Tree, may you share a great memory of wrestling at the Dorton Arena. Thanks. And who was the better worker, Marty Jannetty or Robert Gibson?
Well, they're just totally different. Robert was the comeback guy for Ricky's sale pretty much every night. Very seldom did you have a match with any length of time that Robert sold and gave Ricky the tag. It was always Ricky sold and gave Robert the tag. So that was his niche in the business, the comeback guy. Marty Jannetty, I think, doesn't get enough credit for how good he was. Him and Sean were probably, as far as physical athletes and doing just incredibly athletic things within a tag match, they're probably the best babyface team I ever saw. Now, of course, you got the Rock and Roll Express and Midnight Express and all those for different reasons, and Horsemen, but Marty Jannetty was a hell of a performer. Go back and break down those tag matches and look at some of the stuff he did. It was phenomenal.
Yeah. No, perfect compliment to Shawn Michaels. But they were both, obviously Shawn stood out because of the charisma, the mic work, but in terms of in wrestling talent, right there, able to deliver in the ring.
Exactly. Before Shawn broke off on his own, when they were just within that tag match every night, they both shined. They were both the two best workers in the ring. That's for sure that night.
Awesome. All right. Well, guys, thank you for the chats. I'll promise I'll come back, but we got some news to cover. We got some things to talk about, and it's October 1995. And Arn, I'm just going to jump right into it. We're calling this episode Horsemen Reborn. And we're going to pick up a little bit with what we talked about last month, Fall Brawl 95. We got a lot to cover. And the fallout, the battle with Ric Flair, right? And the reforming of the Four Horsemen, the rise of Brian Pillman, and some of the madness surrounding WCW at the time, including Vader's official firing, the infamous Halloween Havoc main event with Hogan and the Giant in Detroit, on the roof of the building in monster trucks. So this is going to be a fun one. Let's talk about you and Flair. We'll start there. You go one-on-one with Ric Flair. You beat him clean, middle of the ring. It's a match that many say years in the making, Arn, and it lived up to the hype. But what happens next? Well, Rick wants a rematch. So we go to Nitro in Denver. You guys can check it out, pull it up. Nitros are all available to you on Peacock. You guys headline the show, Arn, but this time Flair's going to get the win by submission. And then, of course, Brian Pillman jumps in, and suddenly we've got a cage match the following week in Chicago. Follow me here. Arn, how do you feel about the way WCW books this? Was this always supposed to be just a short program with you and Rick, or was there at all any talk of it going longer?
No, I think that was the plan all along. And if you remember, there was an assist by Pillman on the finish to our match, Rick and I's match. There was a kick in the back of the head from the
kick
apron.
In the head, that's right, before the DDT.
Fed into the DDT. So that put a little more interest on the deal. It immediately put me in a position to, when you can get a 1-2-3 on Ric Flair, you accomplish something in the business. You hang your hat on that for the rest of your career, because it wasn't that often. Rick didn't get beat that often. It was like Hogan. Same thing. He didn't get beat very often. And, if it took the National Guard to beat him, so be it. You get the 1-2-3. This was a way to put Pillman in a position where he was already on the way up, interest-wise, with the fans. This gave him a shot in the arm, put him in the mix with top guys, and have a huge impact on the match.
What's your take on Pillman? Do you feel like he was a legit Horseman guy? And did you like this as his role now in the group?
I liked the character that he was playing, because I'm not sure if he was character.
I know, right? That's realism there.
Brian Pillman, I think, was very intelligent, very articulate, but I think that he had, and in a good way, he had a screw loose. And he saw things from a whole different perspective than a lot of people. It's not easy to pull crazy off without it coming across as being hokey. There's not one night when he did some of the crazy stuff that he did, as simple as it may be, like screaming on a promo at the baby faces and getting right up in their mug. One night he did that. He overstepped his boundaries, and I slapped the shit out of him. And that was one of those that he ad-libbed, and so did I. But you can't get up in a top babyface's grill and be raising holy hell at him, spitting and all that goes along with it, screaming and spitting, without him doing something. You bury him. So I had to put a speed bump in that pretty quick. But I don't know if that was just Brian being Brian, thinking that he could get away with anything because he was half nuts, or that just playing a great character. Either way, it worked.
But at this time, at this juncture, October 1995, you were on board with Brian Pillman being part of it.
Yes, I was.
Yeah. Let's talk about a little something different here, because we're going to come back to the Horsemen in a little bit. Something else that stood out around this period of time that I wanted to get into, and that is the crowds and the touring struggles that are going on. WCW ran big markets like Denver, Chicago. Attendance was rough, Arn. Denver had 9,000 people, only 3,800 paid. Chicago, 8,500 in the building, 4,500 were freebies. You're in the business long enough to see how ticket sales work. In your opinion, was it better for WCW to paper houses and make it look full for TV? This is a great question for some companies nowadays. Or should they have focused on just selling out smaller venues? What is your thought on that?
I look at it as say I was a fan and buying tickets. If that's where we're looking at this from this perspective, I think I would rather be in a smaller venue with, say, 5,000 people, but sold out, other than having 9,000 people and however many thousands of them got free tickets. If I bought a ticket for me and my family and I paid parking and went through all that, paid for all the concessions, which is an expensive night. Coming to wrestling is, could be an expensive endeavor if you're bringing your family and whole shooting match. I'd be pissed if the guys next to me on both sides got in free and I paid full price.
Right.
That was always my opinion on that paper in the crowd, giving away a bunch of tickets. Those people talk and they're going to be loud. These seats great, and they're not doing it to rub it in the other fans' face who paid. I think they're just having a conversation. What was going to be a fun night is really fun when it didn't cost you a dime.
Just more money for hot dogs and soda. Listen, WCW should just be happy there wasn't social media back in those days. Because
that kind of communication would have killed paper in a town.
Oh my God, they just help make a laughing stock, which nobody wants that. Let's talk a little bit about Sting and Flair as we move on. You have Sting and Flair. So through this rivalry, you and Pillman are kind of buddied up together. And now there's a huge development. Flair starts teaming up with Sting. So after you and Pillman beat Flair down, Rick starts begging Sting to help him, even bringing the little stingers into the ring. Eventually, Sting agrees, but tells Rick he won't hesitate to leave him for dead if it's a setup. Sting's seen this, go south before. We get to Halloween Havoc. Flair swerves Sting once again, turning on him mid-match. Arn, what was the reasoning behind bringing Sting into this angle? He's always been one of Rick's biggest rivals. Why do you feel like he was the right guy to pull into this story?
Because it had never been done. But what I wouldn't have done is planted that seed in the back of their head with Rick telling them him telling Rick, if you don't play this straight, I'm going to kill you. That's already letting the cat out of the bag.
I know.
I think that was a mistake. I would have played it straight. Had Rick savoir-faire Sting. Even the rest of us court Sting to being one of us. Whether it was we're going to return to past glory or whatever it was, but play it straight. I never did feel right about him saying that. But if you don't, I think you smartened up the crowd.
To me, you played into Sting and the respect level Clash of Champions 1, that 16-minute match. You just, like you said, play into how I've always respected you. You've always been a guy that stood by it. Now I'm in a position, but play the full baby face, as you said, storyline between the two, even with our troubles and trials and backstabs. But we've always had great matches, always been respect. Play that up. Don't start to say, if you turn on me, don't plant that seed.
That'd be interesting for our listening audience. How many people did that tip you off that something was going to go down and not the right way? Did that
right.
smarten them up?
Yeah. Did it make it too easy to know that it was coming? As our listeners, I'm watching the chat and I can't wait to talk about some of the shit that's going on in the chat here in a little bit. But did you feel like, hey, you're already tipping us off? We're fans, and we're into it. We want to believe, but you're trying to make this way too hard to believe based on the storytelling that you're doing. So let me hear from you guys in the chat. We'll continue on. Let's talk about some other things that are going on. We'll talk about Vader. We've talked about Vader the last few months, and on October 11th, 1995, WCW officially axes the big man Vader. He'd been out of action since Bash at the Beach, after that nasty steel cage match we talked about. Then we've talked about it in detail, that fight with Paul Orndorff, which, by the way, for our channel on YouTube, went viral. I mean, last I checked, over 125,000 views. People love to hear your version of Went Down with Paul Orndorff. But listen to this, Arn. Just a month earlier in September, Steve Austin was fired. He's recovering from triceps injury. Bischoff lets him go. So let's play one of your favorites, the what if game. It's October 1995. You have the power to keep only one of them, not knowing what you know, Vader or Austin. who would have you kept at that point in their career and why?
This is not because it's the easy way out, but it's the way I feel. I've always been a fan and realized the importance and necessity of having great workers that understand the business and performance above and beyond anything else, psychology and performance. I would take Steve Austin just simply because even then, early on, without knowing he was going to become the mega star that he became and still is, he could go out and have a match with anybody, make any match mean something, performance level 4 stars just about every time he crawled in the ring. I think I would have to go with him just on that premise of what he brought to the table totally. Plus, there's nothing wrong with his look. That's for sure.
Total package in terms of in-ring performer. A lot of people just said Vader wasn't the same guy when he got to the WWF. Bruce Pritchard's on record of saying Vader had lost his edge, wasn't as dominant. He got out of shape. What are your thoughts? You think that's a fair assessment by Bruce?
Well, yeah, and people, he wasn't going to just get in the ring and dominate and be unchecked like a lot of times he was in WCW.
Good point.
He had pretty much, control over his own destiny. Things were different, If he would have went in there and tried to eat up Shawn Michaels, good Lord, they'd have took him out behind the building and set him on fire. Didn't make a shit how big he was or strong he was or his credentials were. It was a whole different company that handled their business totally different.
Different rules. That's right. You try to pull the same shit you did with Paul Orndorff. I mean, he would have been out faster than he was at WCW, and he got it, and he was moved out fast there. So,
you bet.
All right, let's talk a little bit about Halloween Havoc 1995 because, man, this was one of the most bizarre WCW pay-per-views ever, in my opinion. And we're going to start with the Monster Truck Sumo match. We got Hogan and the Giant literally wrestling in monster trucks on the roof of Cobo Hall in Detroit. And then, of course, after the match, Hogan throws the Giant off the roof. Arn, you were backstage. What was the reaction in the locker room when they booked this shit? Was this supposed to be some big cinematic moment, or did it feel ridiculous to you back then as much as it does now?
Well, I'm assuming it was supposed to be a monster movie with incredible special effects. Anyway, I'm backstage prior to the match. Probably, could have been a month or not a month, good Lord. Could have been an hour or two before the match actually went down. And Ron Reese is a nice guy, really a nice guy. I see this, I guess what I thought was a mummy. And he looked at me and walked over to me, and I didn't know what I was looking at, to be honest with you. Now he's 7 feet, 2?
Oh yeah, big man. Yep.
I mean, really tall.
I watched the pay-per-view over the weekend, and I thought, good Lord, he's as tall as the Giant. If maybe an inch or two shorter, maybe.
And he had the short arms, which made him look even more creepy. He walked up to me and he went, and then I went, that's Ron Reese. He said, all right, tell the truth. What do you think? And he just, then when I heard his voice, I knew it was Ron. I said, well, I'd probably carry a lot of toilet paper when you go on the road. And he just looked at me like he was so let down, and I just walked off and didn't think much more about it, which brings us to part 2. You want to set that up?
Part 2, and I'm just going to skip down in my notes here, but at the end of the match, we get to the match. I'll talk a little bit more about it here, but I'm going to set you up now. Here comes this guy wrapped in mummy, toilet paper, whatever. Giant's got Hogan in a bear hug, holding him tight, and the mummy comes up behind him like a dry humping moment and just kind of moves back and forth with this guy with Hogan in between. He's like the jelly between the peanut butter or the cheese between the ham or whatever. and he's kind of just gyrating on him. Well, then it happens again a second time. Thankfully, they didn't let this go on for a bit. And then Arn, go ahead.
So, yeah, that was disturbing. It was a space monster sexual attack, I guess. That's what it came across. I felt so bad for the Giant. I mean, he was a money player, and he shouldn't have had to have endured this. Somebody did not picture that the way it turned out. I hope to God. But now we get backstage after the dry humping, and I couldn't take it. I walked.
Dry humping.
I found him. I went backstage, looked around, found him. I said, I'd like to amend my earlier comments. Kill yourself.
Just run headfirst into a tree.
And just turned and left. And I never even looked back. But I'm sure it just crushed the guy.
And to be fair, Ryan points out he was known as the Yeti. We're calling him the Mummy. He looked like a freaking mummy. You're right. He said, why was he called the Yeti and not the Mummy? But what a goofball situation. So I'm going to take us back, because after we have the whole monster truck scene, you have the Giant's resurrection and this overbooked main event. An hour later, after supposedly falling to his death, the Giant walks back out like nothing happened, Arn. And I love this part. Michael Buffer's on commentary and says, the Giant is here, like he's seen a ghost. Arn, did anyone in the company question the logic? This is the dumbest. Of course. Did they just expect fans to forget that he'd just been thrown off a building an hour before? I mean, what are we doing?
Suspension of disbelief times 10.
No wonder there are people in the audience. And
I think the Giant, did he not have seaweed hanging off of him?
You mentioned that to me, and I'm like, I don't know if I was looking at my phone while I was watching it. I don't remember if he had seaweed on him. He was in a suit. They were both in so Hogan was dressed in black, by the way, for this. This was like prior to NWO. He had like the black pants. His mustache had been shaved off in a Nitro episode, but he's wearing all black, had the black getup. But they were wearing like some kind of like jumpsuits or some shit in the truck, but I don't remember seaweed. Did he have seaweed?
I don't know. Maybe I dreamed that. Like it couldn't get any worse, and I was dreaming, and it popped in there. Oh, yes, it can. It can get worse.
It was crazy. Jimmy Hart turns on Hogan. There's a clause in the match that if even with the DQ, Hogan can still lose the title. So you have Savage run out, Luger runs in, Luger turns on Savage. As I said, the Yeti came out, and you talked about that story of seeing him in the ridiculousness. So after we get to the finish, like I said, Giant wins the belt by DQ. There was a clause snuck in. We find about that later on Nitro, that Jimmy Hart snuck a clause in the contract and he wins the title. I got to ask, man, just a total mess. Was this just a way in your mind to keep the title picture revolving around Hogan? Because after weeks of the Giant dominating Hogan at every turn, this finish just feels completely deflating.
Let me just put it to you this way, and I don't know. I'd have to go back and sort through it and rewatch it. Let me just put it to you this way. The Giant deserved better. He deserved a launch as a megastar and a megastar push. He deserved better than that.
Arn, I have a feeling you'd rather walk out your front door and run straight into a tree than rewatch that. Is that safe to say?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
I'll go this far. I would actually sit through an Elegante match if I could erase that from everyone's memory. The Giant and all that.
You hear that, Yambag?
The Yeti. I would go ahead and get a piece of wood and bite down on it and sit through a match with Elegante.
Oh, this is so good. So, Arn, looking at this entire card, it's almost like we get two completely different wrestling shows in one. Hear me out. On one side, we've got Flair, Sting, and Pillman, and you in this classic storytelling, layered history, intense promos, that old school Jim Crockett promotion style of wrestling. And then right after that, we go into the Giant getting thrown off a roof, the Yeti bear hugging Hogan, and a contract loophole that lets the Giant win the title by DQ. So here's my question. Can both these styles exist on the same show? And more importantly, work on a pay-per-view without making one side feel less important?
I think it worked.
Yeah. Do you think it can work to have
No,
something so cool and so great
no.
yeah.
And I know what as a company, WCW was trying to suddenly become not a wrestling company, but sports entertainment. That was the attempt to try to catch up with Vince and do it with some different stuff and with some different characters and Sullivan and his crew. You were trying to make monster movies one week, and the second week you're doing a 30-minute Broadway with false finishes, taking you to the brink, and oh no, that's not it. Oh, which it always worked. It was like two different companies within one show.
It's something else, and man, it's just a weird time for wrestling. 95, again, this is before Attitude Era, before NWO, and to me, it was just kind of like people were a little bit checked in and not totally. We were enough to see what was going to happen, but this is before the boom period for sure, and there was some shitty stuff going on. I want to wrap up before we go to some questions, because my God, there's been some activity over in the chat that I can't wait to get to on the Horsemen return on a good note. And the biggest takeaway to me from this time period on was the reforming of the Four Horsemen, Horsemen Reborn, as we're calling it. And after the Flair Sting swerve at Halloween Havoc, you, Flair, and Pillman, you're together, and you're back at the interview announce position. And eventually Chris Benoit will be added to the group. But Arn, was there ever talk of you leading a version of the Horsemen instead of Rick? Could the group have thrived with you, Pillman, Benoit, and one other guy in your mind? Or was it always a Rick and Arn ensemble that had to work?
Johnny Carson was the most popular late night talk show host of all time. Has no equal, has nobody even in second place. I was Rick's Ed McMahon. That's the position that people liked. That's what they accepted. I don't think it was demeaning being his henchman for all those years. He will go down in history as one of the top everything performers, showmen, wrestlers, whatever adjective you want to tack around Ric Flair, he will be one of the greatest superstars of all time. And to be his henchman all that time and be his best friend, and there was a period when we were best friends. It's not something that I look at as being second place sucks. Second place don't suck sometimes.
The name The Enforcer meant something. You were his heavy. You were the heavy of that group. And not only in the ring, but on the mic. When Flair went wild and crazy and over the top, you came in and were the Charles Bronson and just really delivered on the mic. That oh shit, like this guy's for real moment. It was a perfect compliment.
Well, he did the wooing and I did the fighting.
There you go.
And that was 100% of the time.
Yeah. Oh, so good. Arn, as always, amazing insight. Do you think at this point, not now, not knowing what we know, but at this point, when you walk back there and you guys declared we're back together again, you said, this is what you wanted, fans, and this is what you got. And it was you, Rick, and at this point, Brian. Did you think that the Horsemen had a chance to be top tier faction again? Or were you guys at this point, you felt like, hey, we're going to be upper mid card. Hogan's here now. Feels like a little bit of a different direction. we're going to stay at this tier? Or did you think, man, this could really be the renaissance of the Horsemen?
I never looked at us as a mid card. We were just the top guys that went on sometimes third from the last or second to the last, or sometimes we would go on last. But I always looked at us as being top guys and guys that could enhance any live event that you wanted to put us on in different combinations, singles, one tag and a single, 6-man. Anybody was better the next day after working with us. And I truly believe that.
And I want to make sure I'm heard. Upper, you're definitely not a mid card, upper, but it just felt like with Hogan being there and Savage, it just felt like, that'll be the main event with the world title. The Horsemen will be maybe the match under.
Well, there were nights that, you would have Hogan in a single and Savage in a single, and we would be, third to the last.
Yeah.
I never took it as anything other than a badge of courage. Go out, put us on before you, roll the dice.
And good luck to try to follow that shit.
Follow that shit, dude.
There you go. I love it. Arn, as always, amazing insight. I know we got tons of questions from the live audience, so let's check some of those out. And first of all, Darth Payne says, "Hi guys, how does AA think him and Tully would have done against Doom?" Paul, did you get the picture I sent? Darth, did you send it to me on X or Instagram? Someone sent me a picture. I think it was Ashley, and it was a picture of a picture that was. It looked like it was that someone. It wasn't like we're looking for like a personal artifact. Like, were you with them at the hotel, or just a very candid shot? Not something that maybe a professional photographer would have taken and it be sold or published. We're looking for something really, truly unique. Maybe you at a gas station, you at a hotel with them, you at a private signing. But Darth, if you hit me up on Instagram or X, I'll make sure I'll check for that. But what about his question on Doom? How do you think you guys would have done against Ron and Butch?
They'd have creamed us. You don't know the truth?
I know how you felt about Ron Simmons.
Yeah, and Butch wasn't bad either. Barry and I wrestled those guys a few times, and it was bar fight city. But I guarantee you we would have figured out some way, somehow, to come out of it looking pretty good, but they would have kicked the crap out of us.
All right, we have a super chat from Ashley Scott Music. Ashley, thank you so much. She says, "Hey, gents, hope you're both good. Why do you think the Midnight Express have not gone into the Hall of Fame? Has Jim Cornette's view kept him out, in your opinion?" Very opinionated, shares his wrestling opinions. But Arn, why do you think that the Midnight Express haven't gotten their just desserts yet and been put into the Hall of Fame?
Well, I don't think there's anything that I would want to say or could say or should say that why they're not in the Hall of Fame. They need to be in.
Yeah, they're deserving.
There's no justifying them not being in. Sorry, that's
totally fine. I think so many agree with you, and hopefully it's just a matter of time. It feels like they should have already been in. And but man, when you talk about Dennis Condrey, Bobby Eaton, Stan Lane, for that matter, and Jim Cornette, gosh, icons in the business.
Standard bearers.
There you go.
For what a tag team should be.
Ryan Nodal says, "Speaking of WCW, how awesome." I don't know if you knew this or not, Arn, that there's a new WCW YouTube channel with almost the whole WCW library now. I know they're continuing to grow and add more. I keep checking it. I subscribed and I'm looking at their playlist. But Arn, I don't know if you heard this or not, WWE has launched a WCW YouTube channel, and they're uploading past pay-per-views, Nitros, Clash of the Champions, and putting all that content on this new WCW YouTube channel. So I thought that was pretty cool. I know you can find it on Peacock, but to me, if their next rights deal comes up and say everything shifts to Netflix or another streaming platform, there's no guarantee that they'll put all the old stuff on, just like, Peacock has or WWE Network used to. I really hope because they can monetize as much as they want on YouTube. I really hope they put all the Crockett stuff on this WCW channel, the Georgia stuff they own on this YouTube channel. So Ryan, I'm excited about it, and I hope they load it up.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing some of that. I'd love to go back and watch some of that old stuff.
Yeah, and Arn, if you ever want a hand, and you just like when you watched MLW, it's just launching the YouTube app on your smart device and searching for WCW, and you'll find the channel, and they have all the old playlists in there. I started watching. Yeah,
got it.
Yeah,
I can't even figure that out.
Yeah. So it's really exciting that they're deciding to do that, and I think maybe that's probably the wave of the future, especially for classic stuff. Eddie Prather said, Arn, even Ray Charles could see that Sting was going to get turned on.
I agree with you, buddy. Eddie, you're 100% correct. Great minds think alike.
Instagram wrestling historian with a super chat. What was the storyline reasoning for Ric Flair being friends with Arn again after losing to him at Fall Brawl? It was confusing. So why did they just move so quickly? They just transitioned out of your feud with him right into being friends almost immediately. Arn, they addressed this in the Horsemen DVD. You guys did, and just said, hey, you knew the money was with you being together. Was that the real reason between?
I think it was pre-planned just to maybe give us a shot in the ass,
to see if it really stimulated something with the fans.
It was the first time, time only. Ric Flair, Arn Anderson. You may never see it again. Because the premise of the angle was he didn't respect me. He just expected me to be his lapdog, and that was it. That was the angle. That was the story. Then it got to the point where he wasn't being himself. He wasn't being Ric Flair, the headhunter, because he had me to lean on. That was the story. And then when I started backing off and he couldn't lean on me, he took advantage of it, and which brought us to the match. And I think the idea was, let's rekindle some interest in these guys. It's a one-off. You'll never see this again. Get some mileage out of it. Maybe steal a house, steal a few buys. That was the plan.
Sounds good. Arn, before I get to some of this nonsense that I really kind of want to read off quickly to you, the question did enter the chat, and it's from our friend Ryan, and he says, what were both your thoughts on John Cena's heel turn and the way that it was executed? You're welcome, Instagram wrestling historian, by the way. Arn, you worked with John for a long time as a producer. This is his last year on his way sailing out of the business. Heel turn goes down. What are your thoughts?
Never saw that one coming. I feel like even though I'm a million now and can't remember my name some days, sometimes I have some moments of clarity, and I never saw that coming. I'm thinking, it's like, okay, Cena and Cody, you can go either way. I'm a big what if guy. You get to Mania. Do you kill Cody off by him dropping the title to Cena and Cena being 17-time champion? There's a big moment. It don't kill Cody off. Or do you go the other way and you pass the torch, and just when you think Cena's going to win his 17th, Cody beats Cena, passing the torch to the new guy? There was a no lose scenario, I didn't think, but I never saw John turning heel. Now, with the power that Rock wields as his position with the company, he can pull a lot of strings. John, being a heel now, gives him the entire playbook to open up with. Can you imagine John Cena poking a guy in the eye and kicking him in the nuts?
The ruthless aggression area, Cena, yeah. It's going to be, here's the deal. So last night, Madison Square Garden, as we record this, Cody's cutting his promo. Fans are chanting, let's go Cena, Cena sucks. So it was like, we need them all to say Cena sucks at this point. We really need this crowd to buy into the heel Cena. He's coming out on Raw next Monday. We're going to see how this goes.
they're going to chant that "Let's go Cena, Cena sucks" just because they're part of the show now.
True.
The audience just figure it as that. That's what they really feel and who they're really cheering for. That they're not all cheering for both guys. It's got a nice cadence. It's easy to chant, and people and our audience want to be, and they pay to be part of the show. So good for them.
It's going to be fun to see how they continue to allow John evolves himself into this and turns himself into this complete and total asshole heel. Because like you said, how far does he go? You know, with the kids, because he was Mr. Make-A-Wish and all these things, and some of the memes and stuff out there has been hilarious to see. But I can't wait to see how far deep he goes into this heel character,
or that he's allowed to. Yeah. You know, you can go all the way, and he turn him into a real rat-faced bastard because he has the success, he has the history, he has the money. He's made a pretty fair buck,
I'd say.
You know, I mean, he's got a lot of tools himself that he can rub Cody's nose in, things that Cody hasn't achieved yet. He will. He just hasn't yet. And we'll see. Be interesting. Be very interesting.
Darren Staley, to wrap up the show. For those of you who like to enjoy the chat as you listen to the show with Paul and Arn, I will now start a little game called Arn Came Out of the Womb with Feel Free to Offer Your Own. Arn came out of the womb with a side of beef and a pork chop. Arn came out of the womb with a 5 o'clock shadow. Arn came out of the womb with a loaded Glock. Arn came out of the womb with a TV title. Let's see what else. Arn came out of the womb with a 6-pack and a bald spot. Arn came out of the womb with a tattoo and high cholesterol. Oh my God.
Wow. Who said that?
Darren Staley. Arn came out of the womb with a Social Security check and an AARP membership.
Wow.
Whoa, Darren. Oh my God. Arn came out of the womb with a Yambag Jones fan club membership. I don't think so, buddy. Nice try.
Darren, you're hired. You're pretty good, bud.
Isn't he good?
You are pretty good. You are hired.
Good shit. So I thought I'd have some fun and end the show on some of that stuff. Man, what a fun show. Yeah. Hey, listen, guys, check out our merch store, 1tsport.com. Arn and I are both sporting merch from the store tonight. Arn is rocking his Four Horsemen 85 shirt. Love it. I got my Four Horsemen logo shirt. I was just telling Arn, he actually ordered a zip-up hoodie with that you got that recognizing your Hall of Fame, and you said you and Aaron love it. So that's a big win. Household.
Just enough without being too busy. You know, but black and red, nice colors. I like it.
Yep. And I just added to the store for the Four Horsemen a lightweight hoodie that they say you can wear year-round and is comfortable. And I'm excited to see what that looks like and feels like. And I'll let you guys know. I might break it out for the next show. Guys, speaking of the next show, we're looking to do that on Tuesday, the 25th, 6 p.m. Eastern, and we're working on a special guest. So more to come if we can land that special guest. If not that show, it'll be sometime soon, but we're really excited. Someone Arn has wrestled many times. We've not had on the show before. And so make sure you set your notifications. Make sure you're subscribed. Turn on that notification bell so that you get the alert once we set up the show on YouTube. Man, this has been another fun show, Arn. Thank you so much for doing it with me this week.
Thank you, my friend, and thanks to the audience. You guys are always great.
On behalf of the enforcer, Arn Anderson, this is Paul Bromwell, and we'll see you right here in 2 weeks on March 25th, 6 o'clock Eastern on Arn